There are some things we inherit without question. Stories, beliefs, entire ways of being. They move through us quietly, like background noise, barely noticeable, until one day something in you pauses and whispers, "This isn't me. This does not feel right anymore." That whisper is your wake up. Because you see, most of us were born into a system already running on scripts, codes that weren't written for our freedom, but for our obedience. Codes designed not to uplift, but to condition, to sabotage us from the inside out. And that brings us to today's phrase. Our way of life has been engineered with codes that sabotage, affecting and infecting us negatively, and leading us away from harmonious conditions. Let that settle in for a moment. These are not just random patterns. They are deliberate imprints, passed off as truth, culture, tradition, or survival. They don't just affect us, they infect us, seeping into how we think, how we move, how we treat each other, and how we treat ourselves. And the trickiest ones, they are not the obvious lies. They are the ones we adopt long before we even realize we are drifting from our base. You know them, you have felt them. That whisper that says, you have to earn your worth. Rest is laziness. Be realistic now. Play the game or get left behind. They slip in as advice, but they operate like poison. And I want to pause here because maybe you still believe some of these things. Maybe they feel true to you. Maybe they helped you survive. Maybe your life has shown you that when you rested, you fell behind. That when you didn't play the game, you got shut out. That being realistic kept you safe. If that is your truth right now, I honor it. Because these codes didn't come from nowhere. They came from pain, from history, from a world that rewards conformity and punishes deviation. But just because something helped you survive doesn't mean it is helping you thrive. You don't have to throw away the whole belief. You can hold it up to the light and ask, is this still serving me? Or is it time to let it soften? Because your worth was never meant to be earned. Rest is not laziness. It is restoration. And this about being real. Yes, being real, being realistic. Realism is useful, but not if it cages your spirit. And sometimes the boldest move you can make is to stop playing a game that was never built for you in the first place. It was never built for your flourishing. And let's not pretend this was random. Let's not pretend we just accidentally ended up in a system that drains our spirit and confuses our minds. This was engineered because confused people are compliant, disconnected people are profitable. People who doubt their worth will overwork, overspend, and overcompensate every single time. If you teach someone they are not enough, you can sell them everything under the sun to fix a problem they never had in the first place. You can convince them to chase titles, grind endlessly, abandon their intuition, and call it ambition. And when they burn out, you sell them healing in a bottle, a brand, or a belief system, while never letting them realize the system caused the illness in the first place. It is not always a shadowy room of puppeteers pulling our strings from above. Sometimes it's just centuries of momentum, a machine that runs on our disconnection, a machine that doesn't need to heat us. It just needs us to stay busy, stay doubtful, stay hungry. Because a person who remembers who they are becomes unmanageable, uncontrollable, unprogrammable. And that is dangerous to the system. Not because you are violent, but because you are sovereign. So yes, this was done on purpose. Not to destroy you outright, but to keep you distracted long enough that you never activate your full remembering. And let us not leave out the impact, because some of us still wonder, why do our communities look like this? Why do we act this way? Why do we tear each other down? And the answer is simple. We were treated like nothing until some of us started to believe it. When our people are stripped of identity, when they are trained to obey, to beg, to prove, to perform, they will start turning on each other. Not because they are broken, but because they have been repeatedly broken. What you call dysfunction is often the natural outcome of long-term indoctrination. When survival becomes the only goal, betrayal becomes strategy. When love has been distorted, control starts to look like care. And when people are taught to mistrust themselves, they will either implode or explode. So no, we were not born low life. We were born luminous. And every so-called low life behavior, you see, that is not identity. That is injury repeating itself. That is not identity. That is injury repeating itself. You want to break the code? Start remembering who profits from your confusion. Start withdrawing your energy from what feeds on your forgetfulness. and then return to your base, to your clarity, to your God-coded rhythm, and watch how fast the system starts to stutter. Because the moment you become still enough to hear your own frequency, the interference starts to fade. And the codes, they start cracking.